I've spent most of the day trying to gather evidence and get it sent to the villain's crime. I was able to fumble through and almost sorta, I think I got it paid so that I could send through a bunch of evidence that came from Tim Beeson and a bunch of evidence that came from Ted Bollinger. That's right. A bunch of evidence that came from obviously Natalie Marie Bollinger, a bunch from Rochelle Shelley Campbell, which is one of Natalie's ex-stepmothers, and also with, I want to say there's only about a dozen or so of the witness statements saying that these people were afraid for their lives and their children's lives and things of that nature, that people were threatening their lives. Evidence that Natalie Bollinger, Alicia Bollinger, Rochelle Campbell, Danica Garner, and also Rose M. Kelly, who's Natalie's real mom, along with Natalie and Alicia, of course, messages from literally every single one of them telling me how petrified they are of Ted Bollinger. And there's also the evidence that they all knew. They knew what he'd done to her. All of them. Every one of them. And it's exhausting. So when Natalie was killed, I had 5 separate situations going on, and I'm going to tell you about those in just a second. But first, I want to explain I have a lot of work to do, probably about 2 weeks worth of work to do in one night, and I'm not going to be able to do that much, but I've got enough to show them the harm that I've been going through and help to give them multiple addresses of where they can go. God damn it. Let me pause this for a second. I just popped a boil and I gotta. Alright, so the situation I am the most worried about right now is there's a lady who's supposed to help me turn this stuff in tomorrow at 9:30, and I'm supposed to send her evidence, and we're supposed to go over the evidence before I go in. Also, we're supposed to message each other every day so that she knows I'm safe and I know she's safe. She hasn't messaged me back in a couple of days. I know she was a little under the weather, but that's not what I'm afraid of. The first thing I'm afraid of is that she was informed that apparently they were drawing up the papers for the warrant against her ex that very day. And the problem is that they've told her that multiple times before. The second problem is there was a man who is definitely not right in the head that she was trying to help out, and he got the wrong idea. So she had to try to turn in something really heinous that he did, and I wouldn't be bringing this up on my goddamn YouTube if it weren't for the fact that I were afraid that they let this man out. And if they let this man out, or if well, any of the mistakes the Boulder police made in the past have happened again, I have every reason to be afraid for her and her children. But at the same time, if I make a post freaking out, I mean, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. I really don't. I'm exhausted and I need to sleep. And sometimes she gets exhausted and needs to sleep, or gets overwhelmed by the number of people she needs to talk to, and she'll take a day or two or three, or sometimes even a month or two or three off at a time without any communication. There's also a lot of evidence that I was able to find. Thank goodness. There's so much of it. But I have to be afraid that if I don't have somebody go in with me tomorrow, that I might be bullied and probably will. I might be talked over and probably will. And of course, they might play victim and have me arrested or ejected from the property. You never know. But what I do know is that when I get there, if I don't have a friend or family member there, or at least on the phone, it's not going to work out too good. I did get more verification today, however, from another witness that they did try to turn in multiple situations, and they also tried to turn this in specifically in my case, and the stuff that he wrote on there is honest. It's true. It's also got his contact information. So that's where we're at. Um, like I said, their MO is if I try to turn in crimes, they either talk over me, bully me, threaten me, or have the police come and harass me. They know that I never have a firearm, and I don't own a firearm. That makes me a lot easier to victimize, and I know it. But still, I refuse. I refuse to own a firearm. If push comes to shove and there's battles here in America in American cities, which who knows, I'd probably be of a lot better service either recording the situation or trying to save lives. I don't mean by shooting at people. I mean by applying a tourniquet, by calling the emergency services. I mean by standing between them and the people that mean to hurt them. Standing in between them doesn't mean harming either side. Anyway, I'm making this video because, there's always the chance that my alarms won't go off, or the guys across the street will be loud all night, or somebody will let the dog out and it'll come sniffing around my tent until 2 in the morning, or my rat trap won't get that rat, although I haven't heard him since I heard that squeak last night when the dog was out running around the tent. So that's good. The rat trap's been set all day. The rat did trip it last night, but it didn't get him, and he hasn't touched it today. So either he's aware of what it's capable of, or the dog definitely got him. That's for sure. Just no new rats have moved in, I guess is what I'm saying. Anyway, I sent a bunch more evidence, and hopefully tomorrow morning I'll be able to start connecting a lot of the evidence in these videos with the other videos from my YouTube channel. And that way you guys can hear the conversations with the witnesses. You'll get to listen to the A&E thing, and then you'll get to listen to the actual people involved, and it is definitely not the right story that they're telling. It's certainly not the truth. It does not fit the evidence. Anyway, so I'm supposed to turn this stuff in to the investigator tomorrow. Her name is Kylie. She works at tfcc. And on more than one occasion in the past, when I've gone to turn in police officers and or mandatory reporters, they've either pretended that I'm schizophrenic, delusional, threatening them, or suicidal in order to prevent me from turning that evidence in. And this is very much what I'm afraid of, because it's very much been recorded in evidence. Police officers made up any story that they could. They did not care if it was true or not. The evidence doesn't match their story. Anyway, I usually give Claire a couple of days before I message her over an emergency situation, if it's something that she hasn't replied to more than once. But this is a situation where, first of all, she's at risk from 2 potential predators or more, and isn't in contact with me when there's an important meeting tomorrow. And also, I have to be afraid that since I have to walk in alone and she's not able to contact me by phone currently for whatever reason, that history might repeat itself. That the tfcc folk might take a very, very rude attitude with me, go out of their way to try to dictate what I can and cannot tell them. The thing with the conversations with Kylie that are on my YouTube already, on this one anyway, you can hear Kylie. You can hear the tone she takes and how she multiple times tries to reword what I'm saying, or tries to claim that I didn't tell her things that obviously, even in that conversation, she was trying to talk over and interrupt so I couldn't say it. But I did a good job, and so did Claire. I hope I posted that one up. I know that I posted up like 3 or 4, and I haven't gotten to all of them. I'm so unhappy with that. I mean, I live in this tent. If I leave here, I have to be afraid. I've got the evidence of literally why I'm afraid, the evidence of the damage to my vehicle, the evidence of the physical assaults, the evidence that the police didn't want to do their jobs, the evidence that police officers repeatedly sent me to mental health and then lied to the mental health about the situation with Natalie Bollinger, and also the abuse. How they claimed to multiple doctors and courts that I was schizophrenic when a police officer cannot make that diagnosis. They also attempted to have me, instead of taking a look at my actual medical history, what they wanted to do was ignore all of that, manufacture their own history that ignored the evidence of my diagnoses. They would only try to have me sent to mental health people that would automatically assume that I was schizophrenic or delusional, and ignore any evidence that shows that I'm not. Kylie is one of those people. This is why, first of all, I'm forced to try to turn these things in by myself. The stuff that Claire was going to help me with, we got a case number for a place that's supposed to help out through legal aid, but the problem is that she doesn't tell. It's not like the actual legal aid that I was looking up, apparently, and Claire knows the phone number to them, but she hasn't sent me the phone number or the name of the place. Now let's get to the 5 situations when Natalie died. First of all, I have a lot of evidence, and I've had evidence for years, that the situation with Jamie Curtis, that I had told the truth from the start. I was afraid for her safety because of things that she was telling me. And the other witnesses that I've recorded also verify that she She couldn't even keep her story straight. The things that I said in that situation with her and James were absolutely the truth, and there's more than one witness to that as well. And that's not even including my YouTube videos. So I exposed that situation, a similar situation to the one with Claire. Right now, Claire is telling me about people who did horrible things to her, and if anything happens to her, I need to turn it in. I need to keep her safe. She was excited that, now it's finally over, but then as soon as that was over, she had another situation that happened. And Colorado has a habit of letting those people go. But that was also the situation with Natalie before she was killed. Her predators, the people that she had literally told me by name were harming her in real life, were the ones that were getting a hold of me and threatening to kill my friends and family. What am I supposed to believe? The people that fed her drugs and sexually assaulted her and physically assaulted her and got all drunk and beat on her and her sister. Ones that held her down and said that she couldn't have her dog back until she took him back. Those people. There's also the evidence that they let me know a lot of those things. I was friends with Natalie. Friends, and that's all. So I exposed Ted Bollinger. That's the second situation. The first one was exposing James because the way that Jamie had made the situation sound, especially after rescuing her from James's house and helping her move out into an apartment with Todd Rust. So, of course, that was what I had to turn around from going to see Natalie to begin with on. The third situation was Kenneth Wilson and Leatha Plunkett stealing from me and taking advantage of me. I had to make a choice between trying to get help from Jeff Ritter and the Colorado Coalition of the Homeless, along with Kara Heller, who was supposed to be the caseworker. It was either try to get help there on the Front Range and stay with drug dealers in Denver, or try to do that from Nebraska, which was impossible. And I was at least close enough in Denver that some of my friends from Boulder could come see me. I couldn't go to Boulder because people who Maddie Boa and her druggy friends were spreading rumors to. I was always known for helping people, so everybody knew who I was. When Natalie died, the other two major situations were the media and the police. I'd been speaking out about the police before Natalie was killed by a lot of years, about how they treat us, about their tactics, and how they prevent homeless victims from being heard. Well, you guys share all of this evidence of the ICE situation. All they had to do was call me mentally ill, and the media didn't care about the body camera evidence. They didn't care. And I didn't have any help getting it, and that just added to my plate. So, of course, with the media not caring if what they were being told was the truth and slandering my name, and then, of course, the police, they didn't want to get in trouble, and they also didn't want anybody to believe me. So the Boulder police worked together with the police in Natalie Bollinger's case to try to paint me as schizophrenic and delusional and violent and pretend that I assault police officers. Meanwhile, that police officer was on 60 Minutes pulling a shotgun on somebody. He was also on Denver News for assaulting people on multiple occasions. both before and after he assaulted me. See, he assaulted me while they were, well, they hadn't found the guy that killed Natalie. And of course, people kept on claiming that I was wanted by the police. I'm like, no, I've already talked to the police. I had to force the cops to listen to me and to take my computer because my computer had that evidence in it. The evidence from Tim Beeson and evidence from Ted Bollinger as well, both from before and after Natalie was killed. There's a lot more too. The threats towards my friends and family started first. By over a year and a half, I threatened to take people to court. That's not a threat. That's not threatening somebody's life. And that's something that my predators in law enforcement always want to pretend. Like I'm out threatening people's lives. Like I'm a schizophrenic, delusional idiot out to hurt people. That's how they treat you, especially after you try to turn them in. And this is exactly what I have to be afraid of tomorrow as well. That these people will back me into a corner and bully me. Take a sharp tone with me, talk over important parts, and try to sell their own narrative over the top of what I'm telling them. Talk over me with their speculation, or even try to finish my sentences for me, or make excuses for themselves and either put it onto myself or onto, of course, their coworkers. No matter what, it's never their fault, is it? Meanwhile, I admit to everything that I had to do to try to get heard. You've also gotten to see the evidence on my channel of why. You got to see evidence on this channel of the coercion. And the stuff that I've sent to the Villain's Crime YouTube channel. Well, there's so much more of that. That's probably less than 1/100th of 1% of the evidence that I have. Well, actually, I'd have to say it's about 1/1000th, because I've got 228,000 screenshots and videos and stuff like that in the cloud thingy, or whatever it's called. Like I said, it's a lot to go through. There's also the text documents. There's also the stuff I haven't been able to get to because there is so much. So I guess when I'm done with my meeting tomorrow, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to hammer it out again. I'm going to hit the keyboards and start getting that evidence collected and put into the comment section of the last 4 or 5 videos. Post links to the evidence in them, to the other videos with the actual witnesses that I'm talking about, so you can hear it in their own voice, in their own words. It just takes a lot of time to do that. It doesn't take very long for me to tell you what I've been through. It just takes a really long time to dig through all of the recordings to find the evidence to show you that it's true. And then by the time I find one piece of evidence, you want another piece of evidence that I posted up 6 months ago, or a piece of evidence that I've sent you 6 times and you keep forgetting about. Oh my God, so much fucking pain. My right side hurts. Anyway, obviously, the abuse continues. Yes, I've got recordings of people yelling at me recently and people driving by and honking at me and trying to scare the hell out of me and revving up their vehicles when they go by. And Most of the time, I'm not recording. While I'm in here, I'm taking advantage of the fact that I don't have to record every single minute of every single day. But then again, if I'm not recording every single minute of every single day when they ride by or drive by or walk by and scream that stuff, it doesn't get recorded. And most of the stuff that they're doing doesn't get recorded. Some of it is recorded, it's recorded on video. I talked to the people who own the house here. One of them lives in the basement, and the other one has earphones in all the time. And he said he can hear, when those guys across the street are yelling at each other, even through his earphones full blast. Now, those guys across the street are screaming bloody murder when they're doing that, though. Like, they're really, really loud. And the people who are yelling at me are just yelling in passing as they're going by. So they're not screaming at the top of their lungs for hours on end, bringing attention to it. They go by quickly, commit their crime, and continue on their way. Because if they stand there, all of these people know that if they stand there, I'm going to start recording it. That's one of the things about these guys standing around and bullying me for hours, is that they got recorded doing it. It was obvious at the very beginning when they got to see my videos. It's obvious that the beginning of it on these situations wasn't on there, and they got to see that at least a minute of what they were doing to me wasn't recorded. So they know if they go by quickly, even if they do it literally every single day, they know if they go by quickly, they're less likely to get caught. But less likely to get caught doesn't mean not getting caught. And I have been able to record them in some of the recordings I've been making. There's even a few of them where they're so dirty. Oh my God. So, this is for just in case they pull the same stuff. Yes, I am apprehensive that when I have to go in to tfcc, to the Adult Protective Services person named Kylie, who had claimed in the past that I threatened to end her life, and her coworkers claim that. So do the police, so do the DA. Meanwhile, we have her recorded on my channel. I know that part's recorded and posted on this channel. Her saying that didn't happen. Yeah, she wanted to talk about some angry voicemails that I left. But she didn't mention any of the nice voicemails that I left. And she admits I never threatened to kill her in them. However, that was used against me in court, and the stuff that they put into my court, and all the stuff as a result of it that I've had to deal with afterwards, is more physical violence, more threats against my life, more threats against my friends and family's life. But thank goodness I've also got, just in the last week, over a dozen recordings with other victims and other witnesses that were present, and I thanked them. So, that needs to be considered. I've got the evidence from the Jamie Curtis situation and James Payton situation, like I said I did. I told the truth every step of the way. I've got the evidence with the Natalie Bollinger situation, like I said I did. Obviously, this video is for my safety and for the safety of my evidence. Just because I'm not intending on hurting anybody tomorrow, and I'm not interested in hurting myself, doesn't mean that they won't hurt me and pretend that that's my intent. So, just like I did with the situation with Leslie Snell and her husband, the threats against my life, and her working for the Dual County Sheriff's Department, obviously police officers have a long history of doing that, and the mental health as well has a long history of doing that, especially here in Tillamook. On my YouTube channel, my actual YouTube channel, the one that I'm still trying to get unlocked, they put a two-factor authentication, and I had to spend 15 months locked up for crimes I didn't commit. And while I was in there, they took away my disability money, which I had to try to get back, and they took a lot of evidence that they didn't return. They also removed my ability to pay my phone bills and a lot of other bills, such as the bills for the Google Drives and the iClouds and all the other stuff that I literally had to pay for over the years to make sure that the evidence is saved somewhere, so that if for some reason somebody figures out a way to destroy something, which they try really hard, at least it's backed up somewhere, even if that's just sending it to somebody who claims they're a friend or family member. And you got to see the outcome of me trying to turn in Leslie Snell and Scott DaCosta, Robert Franklin Warnick, who was a registered sex offender, and William Barr. It resulted in me being harmed, me being literally sent to prison on misdemeanors. They got to gain access to all of my electronic evidence. They did not follow the law to send it to North Platte. They just kept it in their own office. They weren't interested in the evidence. They were just interested in preventing me from having it, preventing my attorney from having it. They had to drop the charges because they couldn't find any of the evidence. Can you imagine that? But that didn't matter. They'd already slandered my name to everybody in Chapel, Nebraska, and allowed Leslie Snell to run around going, "Oh, poor me, I'm afraid for my life. I'm afraid for my family. Bitch, your husband threatened to fucking kill me. Holy hell." Her own brother implicated him. And I got recordings with her husband's brother as well. His name's Carl. They did the same thing in Colorado, too. I had to try to turn in police officers in the Bollinger family at the same time. So they repeatedly took me to the hospital or falsely arrested me, lied about the situation, refused to allow me to have access to any of the evidence or to speak up about the situation or even tell my attorneys what the hell was going on. The attorneys didn't care. They didn't care about the evidence. Everything I said, they talked over. They wanted to pretend that it was all delusions. None of them in any of my court dates even tried to bring up the Natalie Bollinger situation or any of the threats, harassment, or abuse. And of course, I could only get a public pretender if I was locked up, right? Which means they were accusing me of committing crimes. I was literally forced to commit crimes because of coercion and abuse, threats against my friends and family, physical assaults. And you've gotten to see examples of all of it on this YouTube channel. And there is so much more. You don't like the things that I have to say? Well, you know what? I'm not saying those things because I believe them. The things about these groups. What I'm saying is look at the homeless. You want equal rights? All homeless are treated equally like trash, as a general rule. Then there's situations like mine that are so much worse. Anyway, I got some recordings, so many of them. And you get to see, I keep posting them up. I got screenshots and I keep posting them up. Anyway, this video is 30 minutes long. I gotta wake up in about 6 hours to get an early morning. I hope I don't wake up the neighbors with the alarm. I hope that nobody screams all night long or revs their vehicles all night long. I hope they don't throw fireworks and stuff like they have a few nights. I'm hoping. Anyway, good to be rid of y'all. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Okay, hey.